Listen, I know I am fully aware that this video is going to piss a few people off. Now, can you imagine not securing one whole Bitcoin through this entire bear market? This entire bear market. We've had FTX collapse. We've had all the pressure from the selling of Tesla. We've had all of this selling pressure to the downside. Bitcoin went from 69,000 to 15,500. Can you imagine going through all of that and not securing one Bitcoin, but being duped to spend $3,000 to attend a Bitcoin conference to learn about why you need Bitcoin? This is why you need to subscribe right now, because the faster you subscribe, the faster the message of getting to one Bitcoin can get to people. Now listen, I don't have anything inherently against Bitcoin conferences. I don't have anything against conferences. I don't have anything against how people want to spend their money. I have opinions, but I don't have anything against how anyone wants to spend their money or chooses to make money, etc., etc. So this is not about any single conference. This is not about any single individual going to a conference. This is just a general thought process from my experience and how I am so jealous of Bitcoiners who have the luxury to go to conferences when I had the necessity to go to conferences and fluff the experts of that were presenting there, just to find the gems in the investing spaces that I have been in. There are people that are spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, whatever it is, to learn about Bitcoin. Learn about Bitcoin. The Bitcoin standard is what I needed. It is $10 probably on Amazon. And then I put in the work to do it, right? You're literally going to these conferences to listen to the same shit that you see on YouTube. And most of these conferences stream everything on the internet. So you can literally attend the conference if you're truly going there to learn on the internet. And you can do it for free. But what you decide to do is spend $3,000 to attend a Bitcoin conference. Why? Because of the community. Because of the community. I want to take part in the Bitcoin community. Today's value, that's 0.11 Bitcoin that your children will never, ever see because of your decision to take part in the community. 0.11 of the hardest, most scarce asset humanity has ever created. There are people who have not gotten to one Bitcoin. Once you get to one Bitcoin, listen, I'll be honest. Once you get to one Bitcoin, do whatever you want to do. You want to hire a boat and pop champagne bottles off the top of that boat? Do it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Once you get to one Bitcoin, you do whatever you want to do. But there are people, you think every single person at this conference, all of these conferences has more than one Bitcoin? It wasn't even like that with real estate. When I was in real estate and going to real estate conferences, not every single person that went to these real estate conferences had one property. There's a lot of people who are trying to figure out how to get into property and realize that they spent more money going to conferences than they would have been able to get into a deal if they just shut the fuck up and put the work in. They would have been able to get to one deal. But no. People love going to conferences because they get sold on the idea of the community. Listen, let me tell you something from my experience. If you are not wealthy, community, unless you're planning on protesting at some point in the future, the community is not as relevant as you think unless you're wealthy. If you're wealthy and you tell me, hey, I'm going to an event and I got to pay 10 grand to get in, and every single person in the room vetted is a whole coiner, minimum. That's different. That's a different community level. So community doesn't mean as much as what people want it to mean. They want it to mean that because they think that is what's going to get you to go, because we're in this fourth turning period now where everyone wants to be a part of something. You should be a part of something if you have earned your right to be a part of it. That's when you should be a part of something. Until then, you put your nose to the ground and you work until you deserve to be a part of a special community. Going somewhere to be told exactly what you are told on you. You think anything is different from... And look how many amazing podcasts there are. Look how many amazing books there are. Look how many amazing, great information there is on figuring out how and why you need Bitcoin. You're trying to tell me you need to go to a conference to learn about Bitcoin? No, you don't need it. You need an excuse. You needed an excuse to go to this conference. I can't even imagine the people that are going to 3 conferences a year just to hang out, and you're not at one Bitcoin yet. What are we doing? What are we doing? What is the point of this whole thing? What is the point? What's the fucking point? The truth is, you got to sit your ass at home, get on YouTube, and secure yourself one Bitcoin first, and then whatever you want to do, you can do it. Because right now, if you are attending conferences when there's so much beautiful, amazing information out there for free. Remember, it's not just the conference. I went to the Bitcoin 2021 conference, and in the first 48 hours, I spent $700 on Uber rides in Miami. Right? Now, I'm in the bracket past the one Bitcoin. So, it is what it is. I shouldn't, at the end of the day, it's still stupid, right? But it is what it is. I made a couple good friends, and that's cool. But I already knew those people online. It wasn't like I went there and suddenly had a massive gain in my community. Sit your ass at home, get on YouTube, secure yourself one Bitcoin first. That earns you the right to be an idiot. Simple as that. Right? And I guarantee you, there are people commenting on my tweet about this issue, telling me, oh no, but you learn a lot and you do this, that. Bullshit. The whole point of Bitcoin is that it's decentralized. You can learn everything you need to learn sitting at home on YouTube. Just like I did, by the way. Having conversations on YouTube, reading the Bitcoin Standard, and reading other books and listening to people on YouTube, just like I did. My orange pill journey. I didn't go to a conference to learn about Bitcoin. Why? Because I've been in this game long enough to know most conferences are bullshit. And the truth is, they are about the community. But until you are at a certain level, the community is irrelevant. The Bitcoin is worth more than the value you're going to gain from whatever community you've been sold into. I actually wish that I was in your position. I was in the position of someone who is not at one Bitcoin yet, where I could learn everything that was needed to learn, because this asset has full transparency of information and price. You know what I had to do? I had to go to conferences. I had to fly around the world. I had to actually be at places to network with morons. And sit there and listen to people talk, and sit there and listen to people tell me what was going to happen in property, and then hopefully one time I could get access to a deal or hear something about a stock or whatever it was, right? You have to go there to make them feel good, so that you can hopefully glean some information that you didn't know. Bitcoin is the opposite of that. The information is completely transparent and free. There are wonderful podcasts spending thousands of dollars on a monthly basis to bring you the information that you need when you need it. You don't need to go anywhere to figure this out. You have no idea how lucky you are with Bitcoin. I had to be in certain rooms to get access to certain deals that required a buy-in. Bitcoin doesn't need that. And you don't want to get to one Bitcoin. I don't care what the happy hippies say about getting drunk with each other and celebrating Bitcoin together. Bunch of bullshit. bunch of absolute bullshit. You have no idea how lucky you are with this asset. You're taking it for granted. This is the greatest opportunity ever known to humanity, along with the absolute transparency of information disseminated on YouTube to your phone. You don't even need to go anywhere. You don't even need to read a book. It's coming straight to your phone in YouTube. This is I can't stress, this is the first time ever in this asset's history, or any asset's history, that information has been this transparent. And you insult it? For what? Think about what you insult that for by not getting to 1 Bitcoin before you decide to be an idiot. For your deep-seated need to feel part of some group or movement? What else are you doing? You think people give a shit? You think people care about you if you spend your Bitcoin to buy a piece of shitty art with Lightning? Because I'm using Lightning. Oh my God, look how quick this money went through. You think that's cool? You think people give a shit about you because you high-fived them and said, fuck the system together? We're going to fuck the system together by owning Bitcoin. You think that's cool? Do you think all of that is cool instead of securing your bloodline's one chance for getting 1 Bitcoin with this one chance in a species that you have? You think that's cool? The scariest part about this whole thing is that the next buyer understands what I'm telling you. This game is changing. You're going to conferences, they're getting together with their brokers to figure out how to buy every single Satoshi out there. And you're at a conference hearing the same shit that you can hear on YouTube. People are not taking this seriously. Like there is one chance to acquire as much Bitcoin as you can. I'm trying to tell you there are only 3 rules to Bitcoin, and you need to get to 1 Bitcoin. And people are out here doing the stupidest things, leaking 0.11 Bitcoin. Leaking it. This is a choice. It's sad. It's really sad because I know what's on the other side. It's sad because I know who is on the other side of your stupidity. It's sad because I know if you don't buy that 0.11 Bitcoin, there's going to be someone that buys it and you'll never ever see it again. And right now, yeah, everyone's feeling good because the price isn't moving up. And okay, like, yeah, I could have bought it at 25. I could have bought it at 23. Yeah, it's been like this for 2 years. You don't know when it's going to change. You don't know when it's going to change. What are we talking about here? This could change instantly. There's 1.5 million Bitcoin left to mine. There's less than 2 million on exchanges. What are we talking about? You know how big these orders need to be to scare the living shit out of you? And you're taking it for granted? And that's $3,000 just to go to the damn conference, not including the flights, the hotels, the drinks, the everything else. And you haven't got to 1 Bitcoin yet, but you're at a conference taking part. No one gives a crap about you. Unless you're planning to get together with a bunch of $1,000 net worthers and protest in the future, that Bitcoin will be worth more than whatever community you manage to garner by going to the conferences. You are the product. You are handing over 0.11 Bitcoin or whatever it is. It's sad. It's really fucking sad. Like, I don't know how else to say it. I want people to get to 1 Bitcoin. That's the most important thing. Do whatever you want to do after that. If you're telling me, oh, you know, I've got more than 1 Bitcoin, I'm at a conference, yeah, I'm taking, I don't care. Whatever you want to do, just please get to 1 Bitcoin. There is a once in a species opportunity to do that. And people are not doing it. Why? Because they want to take part in the fucking community. Wealth matters more than community, and I don't care what anyone says. Wealth creates your community. If you're not wealthy, your community will be broke. If you are wealthy, your community will be wealthy. Because like attracts like. And thinking that you're going to go to a conference like this and make some friends for life and this, that, and the other, it's not it. Focus on securing your 1 Bitcoin first, please. This is a rare time. This is a rare time. And you're never going to get this opportunity again. And you know what the worst part about it is? It makes me sad to say it this time. The worst part about it is while you're there missing the opportunity to give your children and your progeny and your bloodline the opportunity to secure one Bitcoin so you can high five and get drunk. There are people on the other side of the trade that understand that the only goal is to get to one Bitcoin and to hold it forever. And that there are only 3 rules to Bitcoin. It's step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.